What is up, Janksters? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHocks42 on the internet, and today I have an interesting topic that I wanted to discuss. So this is an edition of the Overthinking MTG podcast, and as such, we're going to be talking about an individual Magic card, and I want to talk about a Secret Lair version of a card that's going to be upcoming. And that card is Grand Abolisher. Now, Grand Abolisher, it's a 2/2 for 2. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. So, hey, opponent who may or may not have counter spells in their deck, don't touch my stuff, and don't touch my spells. So, cool effect, valuable in a game of EDH. Neat. The thing that I want to talk about this specific version is the artwork and flavor text. So this is done by the artist Randy Vargas, and I have to say, one, it is gorgeous. And I don't want anything I'm about to say to take away from that fact, because the truth of the matter is, the piece is absolutely beautiful, and it is evocative of something that really gets my nerd excitement going, and that I think is relevant to the discussion, to this to kind of what's gonna follow. So this particular artwork shows a warrior in what appears to be very large, very bulky metallic armor, like plate armor, and they're holding a weapon that is very large behind them, and the weapon and their armor is glowing. It's radiating light. Now, from what I understand, this was actually a painting done in oils, and that effect is really difficult to do. Randy did a phenomenal job, and it looks wonderful. So again, don't want to take anything away from the craftsmanship here. It's fantastic. And you can even see a light leaving from the warrior's eyes, and their face is otherwise hidden in shadow. The reason that that's relevant is because this imagery is very, very, very close to imagery that is depicted in a series of novels that you may have heard of by the New York Times bestselling author Brandon Sanderson, called the Stormlight Archive, the first volume of which is The Way of Kings. Now, I have read the first 3 novels in the Stormlight Archive. I know there are 4 out now, and I don't know if 5th is probably going to come out by the time I get around to the 4th. I need to get back into it. It's a phenomenal series, and there are millions of people around the world who have jumped into it and thoroughly enjoy it. At this point, there isn't a film adaptation or anything of that nature, but I'm sure it's gonna happen. There's no way that they're not, that movie studios are not badgering Brandon Sanderson for the rights at this point. There's no way. I'm assuming that they just haven't come to an arrangement yet. But in any event, that's all speculation. I'm not in on any of those discussions. But the reason that I think that's noteworthy is because this is evocative of that. And the flavor text is simply the word journey. That right there is an absolute dead giveaway that this is meant to be a Stormlight Archive reference. And on Twitter, Randy Vargas, the artist, has confirmed that this is meant to evoke the Stormlight Archives. He's basically just gone on record as saying, I love Stormlight Archive, this is 100% an homage, but for legal reasons, we couldn't put the full flavor text I wanted, which was the text Journey Before Destination, which is a part of the first ideal that the Knights Radiant, who are this order of crazy mythical magic knights in the Stormlight Archive, have to swear in order to be bestowed their powers and whatnot. So, or at least a portion of them. So it's this sure, okay, so we have this homage, and it's lovely, and it's a beautiful piece. Honestly, I want this in a Stormlight Archive novel, and or I would rather this card just be one of the characters from the Stormlight Archive as a reskinned version of Grand Abolisher, or another card that maybe fits more flavorfully with this. And so the fact that this is a Stormlight Archive reference with the serial numbers filed off very, very faintly gives me pause, because if they couldn't legally put the actual text in the flavor text, is Brandon Sanderson, the author of the novels, is he affiliated with this in any way? Did he even give this a thumbs up before this went to print? Now, you may be thinking, wait, fan art is made of novelists' work all the time. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is this card is engaging Brandon Sanderson's audience and selling them a product, the proceeds of which is going to Wizards of the Coast. Now, Randy Vargas, this artist, is also being paid for the work. And I've seen people responding on Twitter again, and I mean, it's it kind of goes without saying that fans of that novel series are going to look at this card and be, I don't know, intrigued by it. And honestly, when I look at it, I think it's like, man, I need to get back into these books because this was really, really cool. And so Randy Vargas did a phenomenal job of capturing it. But I genuinely wonder, is Brandon Sanderson getting any kind of, like, any kind of royalties for this? Any kind of, recognition for this? Is he in any way compensated? And I think that is especially problematic, or at least it has the potential to be problematic, because Brandon Sanderson is a huge fan of Magic the Gathering, or at least he has been in the past. Like, there are episodes of, there's an episode of Game Nights where he actually appeared playing a cube that he built for Commander. It's a phenomenal episode, by the way. Highly recommend you go check that out. So, like, he's engaged with the game and he's plugged in. Additionally, he created a novella. He wrote a novella called Children of the Nameless. Now, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend you find a copy and consume it. Brandon Sanderson wrote Children of the Nameless as a story featuring Davriel, who you may remember from his appearance in War of the Spark, which was a little lackluster, and Davriel Rogue Shadow Mage. That was kind of the first instance where he showed up on a card, and it was fine. Like, the card was okay, but I'll tell you right now, the story is excellent. The character is very, very complicated, very deep, and he was a planeswalker who was hiding out on Innistrad, who had the magical ability of reaching into people's minds and actually siphoning their, like, abilities and skills out and embodying it himself, which produced this really complicated, very difficult character to grasp, who had a lot of literal demons that he was wrestling with. So the story is excellent, it's very engaging, super duper fun, and it's written by an absolute master craftsman who, like, brought his A game to this thing, and it's a novella that he wrote as a gift to the Magic community, and he gave it to Wizards absolutely for free. This is a New York Times best-selling professional novelist, and he handed a novel that he wrote to this major company and said, here, take it. All I ask is that you give it to the fans. Make it freely available. And they did for a while. But you'll notice it is no longer available on the mothership, and as far as I know, there was a discussion about possibly selling it moving forward, like actually selling a print version of it, which, I mean, sure, I would like to have a print copy myself, but again, we have this situation where this Brandon Sanderson's hard work, the sweat of his brow, is benefiting a company and not him or a charity of his choosing. Granted, he's crushing it. He has a ton of different book series. I'm sure he's fine. But at the end of the day, this is his product. This is what he does. This intellectual property that he creates is his craft and is his day job at this point. He's fortunate enough to be a professional author for a living. Intellectual property is what he has. And so if you're engaging his fans and trying to sell them a product based entirely on his intellectual property, shouldn't he be connected to that, or at the very least have approved it in some way? And I don't know that he didn't, to be fair. Like, there may be a text chain between Randy Vargas and Brandon Sanderson, you know, asking if this is okay and him giving the thumbs up. I have no idea. And I'm not calling for receipts. I'm not trying to make a big stink here. I just want to point this out because Brandon Sanderson is an artist I have a ton of respect for, who has done a ton of phenomenal work, including giving up, many, many hours of his time to the Magic community. And I want to make sure that he gets recognized for that, and I want to make sure that he gets compensated appropriately for that. Because, like I said, this is his job. This is what he does. And Randy Vargas is a phenomenal artist who's been absolutely crushing it on Magic cards for years. And I don't want to accuse Randy Vargas of doing anything below board. I have no idea what went on behind the scenes with this. Honestly, no clue whatsoever. I just really hope the right people are getting the recognition, the credit, and the compensation that they deserve for this piece of art and what it stands for. Again, it's gorgeous. Do I kind of want to get a copy of the Secret Lair to get my hands on one? Yeah, you better believe it. But that's because I'm a Stormlight fan. And I know there are Stormlight fans out there who are going to buy this just because of this card, who wouldn't have purchased it otherwise. You know, those are sales, those are dollars that are moving because Brandon Sanderson's IP is associated with this. So I just hope that everybody associated here is doing the right thing. Just want to throw that out there. So thank you so much, everybody, for checking out this edition of the Overthinking MTG podcast. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. You can also get this anywhere podcasts are available. So thank you so much. I'll catch you on the next one.